Uh, It's 5 o'clock, and I would like to open the special meeting of Union County Water and Sewer Board of Governors and a public hearing proposed on Union County Water and Sewer District Fiscal Year 2023 budget. And I'm going to recognize Brian Matthews.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm going to have Public Works Administrator Hyung Yi give the presentation on the budget. We'll certainly be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the Board of Governors. Like every other time, it's a pleasure to be in front of you to talk to you about what we're doing in water for Union County. And with me is Amy McCaskill, who's the Director of Business Operations, who handles all the money and the customer service aspects of the business. And then way in the back corner there is Zachary Tarleton, who really is in charge of all the ins and outs and the day-to-day operations of the finance part of the business. So my job here before the public hearing is really to take you through sort of what the budget is that the public hearing is about. So today, I'm just going to give you an overview of the operating and capital budget for FY23, and then allow you all to conduct the public hearing. And then once you're done with that, I'm going to just head into the next item, which is the appropriation of the FY22 system development fees. To get right to it, the FY23 budget overview and public hearing. So as I've discussed before many times, the utility is an enterprise fund. Union County Water is an enterprise fund, and we balance our expenditures and revenues based on what we would consider to be a very conservative rate model. The creation of the Water and Sewer District, which obviously we're meeting right now, in 2017 added interfund transfers between Union County and the district, and that adds a whole nother level of complication to how we budget our resources. And so my job today is to really try to explain to you how we do all that. So to help with that, the district and the utility are responsible for very distinct things. So the district, we set and collect the rates and fees for the utility and operates the utility system on behalf of the county. The utility manages the day-to-day operations through the budget. So between those two functions, you're going to see a lot of money going back and forth through the interfund transfers to pay for various things. The county owns all the assets of the utility, and it holds all the debt for the utility. And then so monthly, we journal money back and forth as depending on what we need to pay for and who's collecting the revenue. And you've seen this before, but it's just a nice reminder that we look at what it takes to run the utility in terms of our operating costs, people, and materials, and also in terms of our capital investment, and also what we need to do to pay back the debt service for the money that we borrowed for our investments. Once we look at that, we figure out how much revenue we need from the service charges, the fees, and system development fees where applicable, and then and only then do we go about figuring out what the rates ought to be to pay for those things. And we look at, again, cost of service, affordability, whether the rates are sustainable. And we also look at bond covenants in terms of what commitments have we made to the market, to the local government commission, to others in terms of the monies that we borrowed. And lastly, balanced structures in the sense that we're making sure that, we're trying to make sure that water pays for water, sewer pays for sewer, and that one customer base is not subsidizing the other customer base. And so again, something similar, you've seen this before, this is just updated based on the direction provided by the Board of County Commissioners in the series of workshops we held several weeks ago. So the 22 budget, the revenues and the charges, the things that have been sort of driving the cost, inflation, we all feel it everywhere, and so I'm not going to spend any time talking about it. Charlotte is charging us more for treating sewer in the 6 Mile Basin, so that we have to factor in those costs. Any kind of costs that we get from the county, whether it's health insurance, costs for lawyers, costs for HR, all those sort of indirect charges for the services that the county provides, we have to budget for those. And generally just whatever the cost of service is to provide. As that cost increases, we have to cover it. And so for us, the new big thing that we are going to have to manage is sort of the standing up of the water plant. It's under construction, and so we are going to have to start hiring to staff that plant up. And so the 1.9 million of the cost, that new cost this year, is exactly that, the hiring of staff. We have a few minor initiatives simply because we know that money's tight. So we scaled back everything that we were doing to basically the few things that we thought we need to help deliver better service. And then the FY23 budget on the right. You can see service charges are going up. Miscellaneous fees are going up a little bit, but mostly it's in the service charges. Personnel expenses are up. O&M is up a little bit. You can see debt service is up significantly. It's up about $6 million, and PAYGO is down. So we actually have less cash on hand to do our own investments. The FY23 proposed budget plans for $79.9 million in revenue with $70.2 million in expenses. This does not include the interfund transfers or the transfers to the capital fund. It proposes miscellaneous fees and charges be moved to 100% cost recovery. If you remember, last year we moved it up 50%, and this year we're moving it up to the full cost of service. And we estimate that'll generate roughly $591,000 in additional revenue with an effective date of September 1, 2023, so that once the budget is approved, we have adequate time to notify our customer base as to the changes in the cost structure. It provides for an agricultural water rate, based on the direction we were given. And it also provides for an industrial water and sewer rate. This also balances cost of service between water customers and sewer customers. If you recall the presentation from Stantec, sewer customers were essentially subsidizing water customers. And so this balances that out to make it more even, where water is paying for water, sewer is paying for sewer. And lastly, it includes a 7% rate increase to pay for capital projects. And so this table here pretty much summarizes the complexity of the budget in one table. So on the top half of it, you'll see revenues, the operating budget for the county, and then the district budget, and then you'll see we totaled the two together. And I'm going to try to walk through this real quick. Most of the revenues are collected by the district. That's their job, so they're going to collect about $76.9 million in service charges. There are some other revenues, both collected by the county and by the district. There's some investment earnings that the operating budget picks up, TAT fees, and obviously those kinds of fees. Other fees like permit fees are picked up by the district, and you'll see that subtotal line, $269,000 for the operating budget, which is the county, and then $79.6 million, which is the district. So if you total those together, $79.87 million. That is essentially the budget for the utility. That is what the utility collectively, whether it's county or the district, will spend or plans to spend next year if the budget is approved to do the business of the utility. In addition to that, there are some other revenue sources, fund balance appropriations, which is basically capitalized interest. And then there's the $22 million on the operating side, which is basically an interfund transfer. And I'll explain what all that means. So the total revenue, you'll see at the bottom totals over $100 million, but we're not spending $100 million because all we're doing is moving money from the district to the operating or operating to the district. So it's really just, it's almost an exercise in moving just the same, we're capturing the same dollar twice is essentially what we're doing. So total revenues, but really it's the 79.8 on the subtotal line that is the number that we use for our budget. On the expense side, you'll see personnel costs, $43.2 million is what is the cost of ongoing operations and personnel. And you'll see that it actually shows up twice in the operating line and in the district line. And Amy and I had a long conversation about it this morning as I was trying to make sure I understood it well enough to get it right. And so what it is the operating budget pays for all the personnel. Did I get that right, Amy, so far?
So, yes, we pay for all of our operating expenses out of the county's, out of the enterprise fund.
Yeah, and you'll see it zeros at the bottom where it says IDB. There's the $43.2 million. And you'll see that 43.2 on the district is basically where the charge is being transferred from the operating budget to the district. So it zeroes out on the operating budget on the operating budget side, and then the district is actually paying for the cost of the personnel. I'm going to just pause and insert a little asterisk here and tell you that to the extent that we can, both the finance department and the utility would really like to disband the district and just have one department so that we're not moving money around in this way to capture all the charges. And so, the manager and the assistant manager may have had conversations with you about it, but we are going to start some of the process of trying to get back to one entity that does it all versus having to shift between the district and the county in terms of how we budget for all of this. You'll see the operating capital line of $1.1 million and debt service. That is the payment for debt service this year, which is done by the county. And you can see the subtotal there is $70.2 million. And on the district side, $43.2 million. You'll also see interfund transfer to the capital improvement program, and that is different from the operating capital. The operating capital is essentially vehicles, large, expensive rolling stock, vacuum trucks, other vehicles that we use sort of to maintain the system, bulldozers, backhoes, those kinds of things, just expensive pieces of equipment. The capital improvement program is obviously the construction of large capital projects, and so that's why those are two separate lines that we try to capture. You also see an interfund transfer to the operating budget. Again, that's the $22 million that is going from the district to the operating budget to cover the interfund transfer on the operating side. So again, there's a lot of money moving back and forth between the operating budget and the district, depending on where the cost is and where the revenue is, and we're just trying to match up and making sure that we're paying for the right expense out of the right column, whether it's the district or the operating fund. The net result is we're spending about $79.8 million in actual money. The rest of it is just transfers between funds. Just to give you some highlights on the operating side. On the revenues, we think that service charges are projected to increase about 9.9%, which is about $6.9 million from FY22. Total revenues will go up about 10.9%, or about $10.5 million. Expenses, we plan to add 14 additional FTEs. I think 11 of those are for the water plant operations. And we have planned an increase of 11.9%, $1.8 million to cover the personnel. We also are have planned for an operating increase of 8.3% of $5.1 million on just for the cost of operations, chemicals, supplies, the cost of electricity, the cost of gasoline, those things that we need to run the business, the costs have just gone up. Operating capital was decreased in the budget by $1.4 million, and we anticipate that we will have to pay $6.1 million more in debt service because of the bond issuance from FY21. And so in total, we're looking at a 10.9 increase in the budget, 10.9% increase in the budget, or about $10.5 million from FY22. On the capital side, the capital program, based on the direction from the Board of County Commissioners, pretty much funds all these projects. Everything on the water side, everything on the sewer side that we think that we are going to need to do. So all the expansion projects, all the rehabilitation projects. John Shutak, who's the engineering director, he's talked to you about all of these capital projects in the past. I don't really want to go into rehash all of that again. But what I will point out is that this capital program going forward does include the construction of wastewater reclamation facility in the lower Crooked Creek Basin. Some of the things that have impacted our budget, I just made a list here: inflation, cost of service balancing, miscellaneous fees and charges, rate structure changes, system development fees, and a rate increase. And these are the things that we've talked to the Board of County Commissioners about in the 3 workshops that we held in May. And so I'm just going to highlight these real quick. It comes as no surprise that inflation is really a cost driver. The cost of chemicals, the cost of materials, the cost of pipe especially, everything has been increasing in cost for us. Not only that, the lead time to get these things, as supply chains have been disrupted, everything's taking longer to get, and it's costing more once we get it. And so this is just some examples of some of the cost increases that we're paying. In terms of cost of service balancing, Stantec again analyzed what it costs to provide service to water customers versus what it costs to provide service to sewer customers. And in short, the sewer customers were subsidizing water customers. And so the FY23 budget rebalances the rates between water and sewer, and so that they are paying for the service that they actually use. And so as a result, there is a 14% increase in water rates. There's also a 16% decrease in sewer rates. So again, that balances out. So sewer was subsidizing water, so once you have water pay for its cost, sewer doesn't need to pay as much. And so that's why the 16% decrease. This change does not result in additional revenue for the utility. It is simply a rebalancing of the rates to make sure that the people are paying for what they need to. And so again, it does not generate additional revenue. So for a typical monthly bill, for a water and sewer customer, has both water and sewer, using about 5,500 gallons of water a month, their bill is actually going to go down by about $5. Their water bill will obviously go up a little bit, but their sewer bill is going down, and it's going down enough that they're going to save about $5 a month. Obviously, if you're a water-only customer, you're going to see an increase in your water bill because you won't have that corresponding decrease in the sewer bill to offset it. And this does not include the 7% rate increase that was provided by the Board of County Commissioners as direction in their last workshop. So just to go a little bit deeper on the water-only customers, so if they're receiving water from Union County Water, but not getting sewer, they got to get sewer from somebody. And so they are also private sewer utilities that operate within the county. Aqua NC and Utilities Incorporated provides sewer service to a total of 2,318 customers in nine neighborhoods. And you'll see that we just made a little map there with the black and red service areas of Aqua and Utilities Incorporated. And on the left, we've given you the subdivisions and how many active water accounts are in each neighborhood. In summary, we're looking at 2,318 customers representing 17.4% of all water-only customers that we serve. And this represents 4.2% of all the customers in the Union County water service area. Currently, this is what the rates will look like. And so we're not showing you all the rates, we're just showing you the basic water rate and the residential rate, and you'll see the tiers, what the current rates are, and you can read them yourselves, but I'll just point you to the bottom where it says water agricultural new, water industrial new, and sewer industrial new. Currently, water agricultural and water industrial pay the non-residential rate of $4.85. They don't exist as a separate class. Some of the direction from the Board of County Commissioners was to create new classes of customers to recognize agriculture and to recognize industrial, and we've done that. But prior to that, currently, they pay the $4.85 non-residential rate. The sewer rate was $8.55. After you balance for the rate structure in subsidy that I had mentioned earlier, what you're seeing is the two numbers in red. You're seeing the sewer rates go down by about 16%. And then you'll see that we created a new water agricultural rate, water industrial rate, and that's $5.54. That's just the rate balancing. And then we added on the 7% rate increase, and so you'll see that at the top for the water rates and the sewer rates, what that looked like once you apply that rate increase. For the water agricultural, the Board of County Commissioners provided direction to provide a 20% discount. So we've done that, and that's why you see that rate of $4.43. Water industrial, that is a water rate for industrial customers based on the cost of service. And you're also seeing the industrial rate for sewer, again, being impacted by the 16% decrease in the sewer rate for the rate balancing. The rate for sewer for industrial is actually going to be lower than the $8.55 that they're paying currently. Miscellaneous fees and charges. We've done the study and we are adjusting the miscellaneous fees to cover the cost of that particular service. On May 18th and 19th, we presented to the Board of County Commissioners the idea that we would do the second half of the cost of service increase. So we went from where we went 50% of the way to full cost of service, and now we're going to do the other 50% to get to the full cost of service. Just as a reminder, these fees and charges hadn't been updated in over 25 years. And so we were due. It was time. I'm going to show you 2 slides, which will show you what we think the revenue is. And in addition to the PowerPoint that was left at the dais for you, if you look behind it, there is a fuller handout that has actually all the fees and charges on it. This one, the chart that I'm showing you right now just shows you what we project the revenue increase to be based on the new rates. And so you'll see them all here over in 2 slides, and at the bottom you'll see we're projecting a total of $2.7 million, of which, effective September 1, there will, with the second 50% increase, we think that will generate, again, about $591,000 in additional revenue for miscellaneous fees and charges. I want to pause here and actually point out one thing for you that I failed to talk about earlier in all the workshops with the Board of County Commissioners. This doesn't necessarily affect revenue, but it's worth mentioning. And you'll see this big orange box here. And so we had legal take a look at it. One of the things that our customers have been asking us is, depending on sort of their credit rating, we often ask for a deposit. Give us a deposit, $150 as a deposit, just to make sure that you're in good faith that you pay your water bill on time. Or if we're unable to do a credit check because they don't want to give us the information necessary to do a credit check, we'll ask for a deposit. So right now, between the renters and non-residential accounts and some residential accounts, we're holding about $55,000 in deposits in our accounts. Oftentimes, we will get a request, hey, I'm a good customer, can I get my deposit back? We did not have a mechanism to do that. Working with legal, Amy went through and they found a way to create a process whereby, if you're basically a customer in good standing, you can request to have your deposit returned to you. And so we'll run, if you're, say, paid 12 months of bills on time, we'll run another credit check, and depending on the credit score, yes, we will refund your deposit to you. So again, it's just one of those things that we're trying to be a better utility, provide better customer service, just trying to be more empathetic to the needs of our customers, of the community, and serve them better. And so if we can, we'll return the deposit back to the customer. It doesn't affect our revenues at all, but it's something I thought it was worth mentioning just as a way to just try to be a better utility. Rate structure changes. This is something that the Board of County Commissioners provided direction on. They asked us to create an industrial class. It will generate an additional 1.3% in revenue, and it basically takes all the industrial customers, puts them into a new class with a new rate, and so that they'll have their own separate rate structures. And so you'll see the FY22 rate for water and sewer and what that will be in FY23 for 1,000 gallons. And then this rate here does include the 7% increase for FY23. So again, water is going to go up between the balancing and the rate increase to $6.75 per 1,000 gallons. And sewer, even with a 7% rate increase, we'll see a reduction of almost $3 from $8.55 to $5.50 based on the new rates. Agricultural class, again, this was at the direction of the Board of County Commissioners. We adjusted the rate per 1,000 gallons to apply a 20% discount to the rate. So we took the $4.85, we adjusted it for the rate balancing to make sure the water was paying for itself, and then we provided a 20% discount on top of that, which gets you to $4.43 per 1,000 gallons. System development fees, we'll talk about that in a minute because we're going to, after the public hearing, we'll be asking you to take action to approve a resolution. The system development fee requires a new study every 5 years. We'll do one starting probably in July. But what's worth mentioning here is there is an assumption built into the rate model that the new system development fee for sewer will be higher once it's done. And that sort of additional revenue from a higher rate is taken into account into the rate models to try to keep the rate increase as low as possible. Currently, the sewer system development fee for a residential 3/4 inch connection is $3,200 for water and $4,200 for sewer. The rate plan, so we presented multiple scenarios on the 3 days of workshops, May 18th, 19th, and the 25th. And at the Board of County Commissioners' direction, the FY23 budget does include a 7% rate increase that funds all of our operating expenses and all of our capital expenses and capital investments of the utility. This rate increase is planned for the next 5 years. So there'll be 5 years in a row of 7% rate increases. This serves the needs of the utility in terms of maintaining operations and maintaining the capital investments that we believe we need to go forward. And it also passes all of the necessary financial tests that the local government commission applies when they look at our finances, and also meets all of our bond covenants, when we borrow money. So in terms of content, that's all I have. I just wanted to sort of wrap it up and tell you that today we're obviously talking about the public hearing for budget. System development fee appropriation will come next. And then sort of what you have to look forward to is another meeting on June 13th, which is obviously next Monday, where we'll ask the Board of Governors to adopt the budget, adopt the rate schedule, adopt miscellaneous fees, and also to approve the FY22 minutes of the Board of Governors from last year. And then the Board of County Commissioners will also have to approve the budget and approve the rate schedule. And then on June 20th, the Board of County Commissioners will be asked to handle water and sewer write-offs. Every year, we got to come to you, and any account that's outstanding past 5 years, we got to come to you and just write it off. And so we'll be bringing that for you. And we'll also, we expect to bring a contract for Stantec to renew their financial model that we use in terms of how we run the utilities finances. So I'll stop there and ask you if you have any questions.
Thank you, Young. 2 questions. One, based on our experience with personnel at Catawba, what's your expectation for staffing the new plant, and when would that probably start?
I will tell you that it is going to be a challenge. Based on the commissioning documents of Hayes and Garney and CDM Smith as they're building the plant, we're finally starting to get the commissioning document in terms of what the lead time is for hiring and training staff, so that when the plant goes operational, that we actually have people that are trained to do it. When we originally submitted the budget to the manager's office, in trying to sort of save some money, we put it in for 3/4 of a year. We thought we could get away with it, but in looking at it, it turns out we actually need the time, the full year worth of people to do the training to get them up to speed. With that, we already know that it's going to be a difficult hiring environment. Andy, these folks will be reporting to Andy Neff in water and wastewater operations, knows it's going to be difficult. And so we are doing our best effort to get good people and staff the plan up as best as we can. We're getting HR's help in terms of casting a wide net for all the recruiting that we have to do. We're looking internally to see if people are interested in moving over to running a water plant. So anything we can do, we are trying to do. But I'll just put out there, if you know people who are interested in working for a water utility, we're happy to take names and take resumes. But it is a very difficult hiring environment. And I would say that's true not just for water and wastewater operators, and they are valuable because they have certificates and licenses that can pretty much take them anywhere in the country that has a water plant or a wastewater plant, which is pretty much every jurisdiction in the country has a water plant or a wastewater plant. And if they wanted to go international, they could do that too. So it is a difficult environment for operators, engineers, and basically any kind of analytical person that we can try to hire. It's just a challenging hiring environment.
My other question is, I assume you have some kind of trigger or information that defines or a good customer, a reliable customer?
Yes, sir. We have, depending on their credit, when they ask for a refund of their deposit, we'll run a credit check, not just their general credit run like you would if you're trying to buy a car or a mortgage, but there is actually a credit rating specific to utilities. So we'll pull a credit report based on water, gas, electricity to see sort of what their credit history is for payment of utilities. And depending on where that number is, we'll refund the
Well, I guess
the
my
deposit.
question is, if I've proven I'm a reliable customer, why do I have to request a refund? Why don't you just identify those people and give them the refund back?
Well, that is a good question. I'm not sure that I'm capable of handling that.
So I think the confusion maybe is that the way we identify that they're a good customer is through the credit check, not just by your payment history.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
And then that obviously leads to the public hearing, so I will take a seat.
Okay, is there anybody that wants to speak in the public hearing? We had one person to sign up for 6 o'clock, and we were concerned that it may have meant to sign up for this one.
It is for the 6 o'clock.
Ma'am,
It is for the 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I guess I'm specifically, I was thinking the Pilgrims gentleman might want to speak.
Yeah, kind of,
If you would come to the podium and state your name.
Mike Abernathy, complex manager at Pilgrims in Marshall. Kind of really not prepared to speak right now. Just kind of sprung on us the actual amounts this morning, so I prefer to wait a little bit until we get all our facts in line, if that's all right.
Well, you know Mr. Matthews,
Yes, sir.
and I'm sure he'll try to answer any questions or deal with anything you want to talk to.
No, thank you, sir.
Any other people to speak? If not, I will close the public hearing. Okay. System Development Fees, Capital Reserve Fund. Ms. Lyles?
Yes, sir. Well, I'm going to take this one, and obviously Beverly's here to, answer any question about any of the materials provided in your packet. So a lot of the material is provided in your agenda packet. And so I'm just going to give you a summary of what we are asking you to do and sort of what the numbers look like. So the request of the Board of Governors tonight is to appropriate the FY22 system development fees and to amend the system development fee capital reserve fund. And so, well, what numbers are we talking about? So for water, it's roughly totals $5.1 million in water system development fees. 2.6 of that is in the Yadkin River Water Treatment Plant. 2.5 of that is in the Catawba River Water Treatment Plant expansion. So that's how we're going to spend it on those two projects.
Now, Hung, we were told at one of our previous meetings it could be used anywhere in the county.
Well, I'm not sure where you heard that.
I heard it right here.
System development fees, recall that they can be done that way, but what we traditionally do is split them by the basin that they're collected. So they can be, but we split them to be spent in the area in which they're collected.
Well, I understand that, and that was my understanding, but what I heard the last time was it could be used anywhere.
That's my understanding, that the way we've calculated them, they can be spent anywhere in the system.
Yeah, our practice has been by water, sewer, and then by basin, so that, if there's ever a lawsuit, it's legally, it's more defensible the way we do it.
So we have a plan, but we don't have to follow the plan.
Well, we do have a plan, and we've been following the plan, which is to spend it the way we've been doing
I'm
it.
sure I understand your concern.
Well, we've got it split, but we can use it anywhere we want to, is what you're saying.
The water can be used in any water project, the sewer can be used in any sewer project, but we don't do it that way. The plan is that we actually split it and we pay for it in the basin in which it is collected.
Well, it seems like to me that would be the appropriate way to do it and not say it can be used anywhere, but that will be neither here nor there in a few months.
We just want to make it clear to the board that, this is the appropriate way, but we're not bound if the board decides that it wants to do something different.
there are options. We don't recommend them. We think this is the better option.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, go ahead.
Well, and then the 5.9 million in sewer system development fees, we're recommending that the majority of it be spent on the 12-Mile Creek expansion, and then $770,000 for the costs related to the headworks at Crooked Creek. And that's just a summary of what's being asked. If you wanted to go to the agenda item, it will tell you what the action is requested, that you adopt Water and Sewer District Budget Amendment Number 1, and adopt the resolution of the Union County Water and Sewer District Board of Governors amending the System Development Fee Capital Reserve Fund. And so that's the request of the Board of Governors. And I don't know if there's any more or additional information that you need.
So you're asking for a motion,
Yes, sir, to adopt the Water and Sewer District Budget Amendment Number 1,
okay?
and then to adopt the resolution of the Union County Water and Sewer District Board of Governors amending the System Development Fee Capital Reserve Fund.
Well, I didn't get that email.
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to make that motion.
Okay, that'll be fine. I see it now, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, staff, but as I understand it, this simply takes funds that have been collected through the course of a year, I think until April, and just appropriates those funds in the form of a budget ordinance. So I'm happy to make and support this motion.
We have a motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Mr. Chair, Board of Governors, that was the 2 agenda topics that we had for you today. We'll see you again next week when we got other budget-related things.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you for your time.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn, all in favor? Aye. I did have the motion, I